You're watching Capital One Bowl Mania.
College Bowl action in LA at SoFi, one of the premier plush luxury stadiums, right in the middle of it all, where you find movie star Hollywood glamour and big city vibe, and of course, the Walk of Fame and that Hollywood buzz. And today, two leading star roles, because when that curtain raises on this matchup, it'll feature dynamic leading men like Washington State's Cam Ward, who came to the Cougars as a stat monster, and he has kept on delivering arm talent, downfield strikes, and he has guided Wazoo to this bowl game. And on the other side, it is the inspirational story of the season. Fresno State's Jake Haener, he has proven he has no quit in him. As we welcome you to the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl, presented by Stiefel, part of Capital One Bowl Mania. Washington State taking on the Mountain West champion Fresno State Bulldogs on a beautiful day from here in Southern California. Joe Tessitore and Greg McElroy with you. We'll say hello to Molly McGrath in just a moment. When this matchup was announced, you turned to me and said, what a great quarterback matchup we've got.
It's a phenomenal matchup. Cam Ward, just so incredibly talented, coming up from the FCS and Incarnate Word, and what he's been able to do here in year one at the Palouse has been off the charts good. And then on the other side, Jake Haener, one of my favorite quarterbacks in America. He has everything you could possibly want from a measurable standpoint. Maybe not ideal, but my goodness, you watch him play, he's terrific. Right here, eyes downfield all the time. Feels the rush off the right-hand side. Feels that pocket's collapsing, slides a little bit to his left, and throws a beautiful pass over a defender. But how about understanding protection? He's got 5 to block 5. There's going to be an unblocked guy on the right-hand side. He knows he's got to beat it with the pass. He does so in under 2 seconds to set up third and manageable. And then finally, understanding of zone concepts. He sees the eyes of the defender in the backfield. He understands that he's going to go cover that slot receiver on the hook route, which means there's going to be a huge vacancy at the second level. He throws it right in behind that zone defender. The anticipation and accuracy with great understanding of this offense has been on display since he's returned from that broken ankle. He has been terrific his entire career and could be capping it off with a massive bowl win here today.
We're going to see him right away. Fresno State won the toss. They elected to receive as Colton Theaker for the Cougars will kick away to the dangerous Nico Remigio. And Jake Haener will come out as a gritty, determined 6-year senior who worked his way back from what could have been, and to most extents, ostensibly should have been, a season-ending injury. Happened back on September 17th with an ankle fracture at USC.
And he's been ridiculous in his return. Obviously, many people telling him his season was over, many people telling him his career was over, 10 to 12-week injury at the minimum, and yet he returns in 39 days and has been a massive reason why Fresno State not only won the Mountain West, but has had one of the best turnarounds in recent college football history.
Start on the ground with Mims, and Mims makes a nice move to go ahead for 14 yards. Jordan Mims with a single season career high 243 carries and over 1,100 yards.
And he is not to be outdone. Very effective there at the running back spot.
Haener, his first pass of the day. And he gets it complete right away as he gets it to Eric Brooks.
Great effect on the linebackers here. Young group, we'll get to that in a minute, but you see those young linebackers climb up on play action, which allows Brooks to get right across on the over route. And Haener already in a great rhythm as Fresno State ramping up the tempo here early on the first couple snaps, trying to kind of energize that offense after what's been a few-week layoff.
29-yard reception to Brooks. He had 14 yards after the catch as he found him in stride. Short pitch, Mims testing the left side, and he is wrapped up and brought down immediately. There's Kyle Thornton with the tackle. He is the lone linebacker left on Washington State who has played meaningful reps this season, Greg.
Yeah, 3 guys that were mainstays for them. Obviously, Dan Henley, phenomenal season, opting out of this bowl game. And then 2 guys decided to enter the transfer portal, and Travion Brown and Cisco Moingoa. So very difficult at the second level for Jake Dickert's defense. Also lost his defensive coordinator as well. So a lot of new faces for the Cougs on the defensive side.
2nd and 11 after the tackle for loss. Quickly to the outside, and that is complete to Jalen Moreno-Cropper. Jake Dicker, his first full season as the head coach, and took over for the last 6 games of the 2021 season. Back calling the plays defensively. Flag comes in pre-snap on what would have been a 3rd and 4.
False start on the offense. Not all 11 players were set. 5-yard penalty, and it remains 3rd down.
See Jeff Tedford, head coach, Fresno State, back controlling the sideline at his alma mater. The great offensive minds of this generation. Of course, many have considered him to be a QB whisperer with all the great careers he's touched over the course of his tenure. He's been a great fit for this offense all season long.
3rd down and 9 after the penalty. Their first 3rd down they have faced. Haener gets it quickly to the near side to Pope. He dives ahead, and he's going to be right at that line to gain. And with that, they will move the chains for a Fresno State first down.
When you watch Jake Haener in this offense, it's so obvious he knows the answers to the test before the ball is even snapped. He recognizes the matchups that he's going to have. That's all done with the study that he does in the days and weeks leading up. You just see how quickly the ball comes out of his hands and then how accurate the throw is when it arrives. You can see already early in this game just how in control he is.
Wide open and right in is Zane Pope. A brilliant opening drive by Haener and the Bulldogs. A 22-yard touchdown reception for Zane Pope. Very reliable receiver is the senior. He's been responsible for many big moments through the years. Haener was perfect on that opening drive. 4 for 4, 67 yards as Montano puts the extra point through.
And just a little bit of a busted coverage. You see the motion by Pope across the formation, and we talked already about some of the new faces that are at linebacker for Washington State. They drop coverage, and if you drop coverage against Jake Haener, he's going to wear you out. Pope wide open on the wheel route for the opening drive score. Just a terrific start for the Fresno State offense.
Number 22 of Fresno State is now number 90. Number 22 is now number 90.
See Haener right to the phone. Ball comes full circle here, Greg. He returns to LA, the same city where many thought his season ended back in September. And a perfect opening drive for him.
Just outstanding start. I mean, clinic. Exactly what you want after a 2-week layoff. And you think back to a couple weeks ago on the Smurf turf in the Mountain West Championship. Yes, they won the game, but the offense, frankly, didn't play great in the performance. So I know Fresno State fans got to be thrilled to see their offense in such great rhythm early on.
Andre Miona kicks off to the 4-yard line. Lincoln Victor on the return. And he is taken down at the 20-yard line. And here's Cam Ward, who is second in the Pac-12 in completions. Greg, what do you like about him?
Well, just natural ability jumps off the page. I mean, huge arm. Ball is effortless as it comes out of his hand. But what's also really impressive is he has great feet. Now, you're going to say, well, he can run. Yes, he can run, but if you watch it, how he keeps his feet underneath himself when he's delivering quick game and how quickly he can go from catching the snap to delivering the football, this young man has a very high ceiling.
Watson struggling just to get back to the line of scrimmage, as he was met immediately by David Perales They consider him their best overall defensive lineman. 119 career tackles. No sloppiness pre-snap.
False start on the offense, number 79. That's a 5-yard penalty, and it remains second down.
Cam Ward will be in control today, but he's probably the most experienced guy on that offense for the most part, especially as it pertains to play calling. They actually are without their offensive coordinator, Aaron McCoy, who now is the head coach at North Texas. So calling the plays today, Joel Falani and Clay McGuire, two guys that also come from that air raid system implemented by McCoy.
The wide receivers coach and the offensive line coach. And Ward is sacked. Ward is brought down by Devo Bridges. And Bridges plays all over that front seven. He's been linebacker inside, outside. He's an active guy up front.
Yeah, and he does a great job winning inside right here against Grant Stevens, the right guard. Look at that bull rush, slips inside, good with his hands, and drops Cam Ward right on the spot. Great start for the Fresno State defensive front.
They're backed up to a 3rd and 20. Ward just gets it quickly to the outside to Smithson, the true freshman. And that punt team will have to jog on out. Drastically different starts for these two offenses. Fresno State came right down the field. Washington State went in reverse in the wrong direction.
And frankly, Washington State's offense is usually, that's kind of what you expect in the bowl prep. After a nice long layoff, maybe a little rust early for some of these teams as they take the field for the first time in a few weeks, but going backwards, obviously not ideal on their first possession.
See Nico Remigio, number 1. He has 2 punt return touchdowns on the year. Nick Haberer, very effective punter, can do it all. And he draws the fair catch there. Well, this is what we mentioned, Greg, of what happened back on September 17th at USC. And Jake Haener, this is actually against UCLA back in 2021 when he led the Bulldogs to an upset as he returns to LA. And this is what happened back on September 17th. And he was told at the time, hey, this would be a season-ending injury, but he wouldn't accept that. He took a very aggressive rehab recovery plan, and it got him back in 5 weeks. In 5 weeks, he was back to action.
Amazing.
Mims, big hole, and he takes advantage as he crosses midfield, finally cut down by Jaden Hicks.
This is a nice job by Mims. You see that left side of the offensive line kind of just mow everybody down. And then as you can see defensively, Amani Marsh comes up. He stays way too wide as he's trying to fill that gap. Mims slips up inside for another nice gain. You can see right now some of the run fits for Washington State a little problematic as they're obviously without some key pieces at the second level.
First down, play action. Haener with plenty of time. Downfield, wide open again is Pope. And Haener is in the zone early on here, Greg.
Just excellent work right there. Manipulating the second level defenders as Jake Haener playing on that injured ankle. I went and looked at that thing up close, man. It looks like a ski boot. I mean, it is really, really reinforced. But that allows him to feel very confident. Think, too, as a right-handed quarterback, to have an impacted right leg, that's your plant leg on the backside. It's tough to drive off when you're at less than 100%.
Mims again. This time he's ridden down by Ben Wilson.
Jake Haener, man, I mean, for years has been a guy that I just love watching him. I think he has tremendous heart, unbelievable toughness, and has just willed his way throughout the course of his career to the top of college football. And I know it's easy to be a prisoner of the moment, but I'm telling you, there aren't many that I'd take in front of him. Maybe Caleb Williams, Bryce Young, and that might be about it.
Here's Haener on 2nd and 5. To the end zone, and is broken up at the last second that time by Hicks. Hicks, who was named a freshman All-American with the pass defended. He was looking for Remigio.
And just a little bit late here from Haener on the throw. He hitches twice, which allows the break to come by Hicks. One of the best safeties in America, was a freshman All-American. He's a big dude too. Really nice angle there, trying to undercut the throw, but Haener lucky that wasn't picked off. You got to anticipate as that field condenses and those windows get tighter.
They're down in 5 now. Haener 5 of 6 for 91 yards and a touchdown. That ball was deflected at the line of scrimmage. He was trying to get it to Brooks, but you saw Andrew Edson get up and get a piece of it at 6'4".
Yeah, very nicely done. A little twist on the left side, and Edson's able to break through between Spomer and Asaya, the left guard and the left tackle, and get a hand on the out route to stymie the drive. Good stand there by Washington State defensively.
36-yard attempt now for Abraham Montano. And it is no good.
You're watching
one Bowl Mania. Joe Tessitore, Greg McElroy, Molly McGrath with you as Watson takes it straight ahead for Washington State. And still getting that extra push. Touchdown lead for Fresno State as their star quarterback, Jake Haener, took that opening drive, came right down the field. Greg, he was flawless as he connected with Pope for the touchdown. And now Watson trying to bounce it to the left side. Second possession for Washington State. They went in reverse on their first possession.
Washington State early, first drive of the game, a couple of mistakes, self-inflicted wounds that had them way behind the sticks on 3rd and 10. But here on the second possession, finding some numbers in the run game and trying to maintain that balance that really came on for them as the season went along and when Nakia Watson got back to 100% health.
Watson again as they're working the running game here on this possession. But he is stopped that time by Carlton Johnson.
Run game going to have to be very beneficial for Cam Ward and the Cougars today. Without two of their top wide receivers, DeJon Stribling and Donovan Hawley, both opted to enter the transfer portal at the end of the regular season. Bernard Bell, however, the 6th-year senior, he is available. So not completely depleted at wide receiver, but down a couple of key bodies. So the run game going to be very beneficial to the Cougars offense.
There's a 3rd down and 7 for Cam Ward. Ward with time. That is batted at the line of scrimmage. It was Isaiah Johnson getting his arm up and knocking it away. Good play defensively by Fresno State.
Very nicely done, too, on the left-hand side. And if you look at the coverage, too, as he's trying to throw that out route underneath, might have actually been benefited by the deflection because it looked like the defender for Fresno State was undercutting that out route, and it might have resulted in an interception. Good coverage on the back end and excellent play getting your hands up by Johnson.
So Haber on for his second punt of the afternoon. And he skies this all the way down towards the 15-yard line where Remigio makes the fair catch. Haener and the Bulldogs offense back out there when we return to the LA Bowl.
Are you ready for some football?
Beautiful day in Southern California for the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl presented by Stiefel, part of Capital One. Bull Mania. Jake Haener already with a 22-yard touchdown pass to Zane Polk. Joe Tessitore and Greg McElroy with you. You turned to me right away when we were prepping for this game. You said Haener's top 5 quarterback in the country. Not even a doubt.
No doubt. I mean, I think you could make a strong case he's top 3. I really believe that. I mean, Bryce Young, Caleb Williams, and then Jake Haener, man. If he's at 100% this year, he played as well as anybody down the stretch. Here's what I love about him, his understanding. Look, his eyes are always downfield, so well schooled. He feels the pressure on the right-hand side, but calmly slides to his left, layers a pass, and makes a strike. Then he understands protection. He's got 5 to block 5, but there's one guy off the right-hand side that's unblocked. That's number 7 for Boise State. He knows it. He beats the rush with the throw and does so in under 2 seconds to set up 3rd and short, and then understanding zone principles. He sees the eyes of the defender on him, which tells you zone. He understands that that zone dropper is going to take the underneath player. He guides him there and throws a shot right behind that zone dropping defender. Great understanding for space, great understanding for how to negotiate throws around defenders and to manipulate defenders along the way. He is just so well polished and has been a joy to cover and watch these last couple years.
Had a major injury this year, worked his way back, and he's been excellent since. As he gets it out quickly to the outside receiver, that is Jalen Moreno-Cropper. So he has the fracture of the ankle on September 17th, Greg. He goes with the aggressive rehab to get back, and in the 6 games since, he's completing 75% of his passes.
I'm telling you, down the stretch in November, there aren't many people that play better than him.
Here's Haener. Can't escape the pocket that time as he was brought down by Brennan Jackson, who is top 5 in the Pac-12 in tackles for loss.
Just a great job there by Washington State, moving some defenders along the line. And then as Jake Haener moved towards the line of scrimmage, they stopped their rush, collapsed the holes, and made sure that they dropped him for the sack. That was just a very, very well-designed front game for the Cougars defense.
Second and 15. Haener unable to escape again. Quinn Roth brings him down.
And then you're going to see guys drop out. This looks like a pressure look, which is already kind of getting your antenna up a little bit as a quarterback. But the right side of the offensive line just loses in some of their one-on-ones as the Cougars slid from their right to the left. And Haener just can't get away enough. It sets up a 3rd and long.
3rd down and 20. They go underneath to Mims. Mims able to get to the outside and pick it up and convert on a 3rd and 20. Great job by Jordan Mims.
Man, great design here on the middle screen to the running back. You get Mims, fake him out to the flat, bring him back. Then you got blockers downfield. Just a poor job there by Washington State, keeping contained. They all kind of got forced up inside. They didn't control the sticks. They didn't know the line to gain. And as a result, Mims gets to the outside and picks up a massive conversion.
Very nice job by Jalen Moreno-Cropper, the wide receiver, blocking downfield for that 23-yard gain on 3rd and 20. Sherrod in at running back, and Sherrod will muscle his way ahead to the 43-yard line. Ben Wilson with the tackle. Remember, Washington State thinned out at linebacker. Deion Henley, who was 2nd in the Pac-12 in tackles, he has opted out. 2 others are in the transfer portal. So 3 of the top 4 linebackers not available today.
And without Charles Smith-Wade as well as starting corner. So a little bit depleted on the defensive side as you see Deion Henley. What a sensational year he had on the Palouse.
2nd and 6. Pick up the pressure, and then he goes underneath to his tight end, Raymond Powles, and that'll be another 1st down for Fresno State, an 8-yard reception.
Jake Haener just so quick to recognize the disappearance and the blitzers.
There is no foul for illegal substitution prior to the snap. Timeout, Washington State. This is their first charge timeout of the half.
Washington State will use a timeout. 2.5 minutes remaining in the first quarter. Bulldogs up a touchdown early.
Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl, presented by Stiefel on ABC, is brought to you by Trophy Smack, official championship belt provider of the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl.
Back here in LA, and Fresno State players and coaches can describe quarterback Jake Haener with just one word: accountable. Ever since he was 10 years old, he writes out his goals for the season, hands it out to his teammates and coaches so they understand his motivations and can hold him accountable. It started as something his dad made him do when he was just a kid, and now it's this 3-page mission statement that he spends all summer writing. It hangs next to his bed so he can see it every morning. It includes everything from earning his bachelor's degree to winning a bowl game, and he's checked everything off that list except winning a bowl game. He told us he'll do everything in his power to honor the promise he made to his team this season, guys.
Molly, so detail-oriented. Isn't he just so impressive as he spins around? And there was a miscommunication there as he was trying to find a tight end coming out. But Greg, and Molly holds up that goal list, that mission statement that he hands. We printed it out. We had to look through it, right? I mean, it's so detailed, and it even goes beyond the scope of what's within her purview of saying, I want to gain more knowledge in the run game. I want to meet with this coach, with that coach, become familiar with all the run calls. I mean, he is the complete package.
What I love most is that almost every goal, the foundation is team-oriented success. There's nothing on there about being all conference or throw for this many yards. It's all about what can we do together.
2nd and 10. This is Sherrod probing ahead on the left side. A mission statement that Jake Haener puts forth. This is the last sentence. Exceed expectations this year. Be a resource for every player on this team by doing that. Bring a championship back to the Valley. They won a championship.
Just phenomenal, too. And so many people had kind of written them off after the 1-4 start. And as they famously said in the trophy ceremony, Cam Lockridge said, we didn't write back. And they have now gone on to win 8 straight, in large part due to Jake Haener getting healthy again, and just a complete gutsy performance by Fresno all year.
3rd down and 7. Oh, and what a big hit! Was Derek Langford. Malik Sherrod got blown up.
Man, this is a great job with his eyes. As you look and see Langford, his eyes are in the backfield. He's responsible for that flat zone to the left-hand side. So he rides his wide receiver vertical, but as soon as he sees the back get out into the backfield, into the flat, he comes up and closes. What a massive hit.
Just trying to pin punt here as King's punt goes down to the 14-yard line. So a big play defensively for the Cougars. So a touchdown lead for Fresno State.
At Universal Studios Hollywood.
What a venue, huh?
Stop the head coach. It gets lost.
It's luminescent.
Yeah,
that's a great word, huh?
Yeah.
I think that's the term. Getting ready. I'm getting old, Luke. Ready for when you make a play today? Bah, 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 clamp. Hey, winning the juice. Winning that juice battle right now. Win that juice battle right now. Here you go. Every little detail matters. They'll follow you. Be the leader. Be the leader that you're born to be, man. You know I trust you. Let's go have some fun. Hey, take it up top a little bit today. Huh? Take it up top a little bit today.
Jake Digger, head coach at Washington State, rebuilding this program, calling it the new Wazoo. Right now, his team trailing by a touchdown here in the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl. Making the catch and quickly turning the corner is Robert Farrell.
So far, Washington State hasn't had a ton of success offensively. They've been a little bit behind the sticks and really just haven't had that many plays. Just 8 offensive snaps so far for the Cougs.
Smithson was the intended target. It'll be 3rd down. Remember, Eric Morris was the play caller. He left to become the North Texas head coach. Clay McGuire, who's the offensive line coach, has stepped up to share those responsibilities now.
alongside Joel Falani. So offensive line coach against a wide receiver coach. You can imagine what their conversations are like on the headset, saying, hey, we should run it here, and the receiver coach coming back saying, no, I think we'll throw it here. And a nice little back and forth, I would imagine, between the two guys that are rooted in that air raid system for so many years.
3rd down and 6. Ward trying to find anything. Now he's going to try to do it with his feet, and he's able to dive ahead. It'll depend on the mark, as he looks like he's right near that unofficial yellow line. Bridges made the tackle.
Looked like he got it as he jumped forward.
And it's a first down, Greg.
Yeah, had he given himself up and slid feet first, I don't think it would have been close, but him diving forward, it appeared, oh, that left knee is down, and that ball is right there. I mean, right there at the 24-yard line. So I think it's a good spot, and I'm sure as they're looking at it right now, though, probably not enough in the view to potentially overturn it.
End of the first quarter. 7-zip Fresno State. Zane Pope had the 22-yard touchdown. The Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl, presented by Stiefel, returns after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Aerial coverage provided by Goodyear, celebrating the challenge of road games everywhere. Are you ready for the road? Goodyear, more driven. They reviewed that spot on the last play. They did mark this a first down on the field, Greg.
And as you can see right there, that left knee is down at about the 23.5-yard line, and the line to gain was the 24. So ultimately, going to be about half a yard short of the line to gain to set up 4th and inches.
Was short of the line to gain, so it will be 4th down, Washington State.
Very close. It looked like initially the ball was beyond the line to gain, but that was before we realized that that left knee was down. So a good job by this SEC officiating crew getting it cleaned up, but Washington State going to leave their offense on the field, even though it's way deep in their own end.
Their own 23. So 4th and inches from their own 23-yard line, as for the time being, Jake Dickert has his offense out on the field.
Last game of the year, Joe. Can't hold anything back now.
Listen, been dealing with losses of both coordinators moving on, the transfer portal, signing day, all of it. As they go with the direct snap, and second effort maybe from Watson, but let's see. The line judge coming in from the far side may have it short.
Very close.
That is marked short on that unofficial line as Evan Williams, the defensive back from Fresno State, came in to make the tackle.
Man, what a play by Evan Williams coming off the left-hand side. Just unblocked and making a play, getting Nakia Watson just to slow down his momentum enough, picking up those feet and allowing his buddies to also converge. Just an excellent effort there.
Watch Watson's arm. Right there. Forearm is down, ball is down. So Haener and the Bulldogs take over at the 23-yard line. Big play. Haener just getting it away as a flag rains in. That was Ron Stone Jr. crashing down on Jake Haener.
Jake Haener took a shot there too. Held on as long as he could.
Holding on the offense, number 87. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot, who will replay first down.
It's the tight end, Powles.
You look at Haener just trying to buy enough time, but finally knowing that that clock is officially gone. He takes a big hit from Stone anyways. Stone, obviously, one of the better edge presences there along the front for the Cougs.
1st and 20. This after the turnover on downs at the 23-yard line. Haener looking to extend the play. Now steps up, trying to keep things alive, create an option. He's going to make that option his feet as Stone had to chase him down and give that angle. By the way, Haener, and you can see he is still down. It looked like he got tangled up with a media member, a photographer, on the far sideline as a flag is down as well. And it is Jake Haener who's going to help that man up.
It was a good job by Haener getting what he can get.
After the play was over, personal foul, late hit out of bounds on the defense number 10. That penalty will be enforced half the distance to the goal from the end of the run, and it carries an automatic first down.
As you can see, they'll get Stone, who was chasing him down and just kind of lost track. I didn't think there was anything malicious about that hit, but just kind of lost track of where the boundary exactly was, and Haener was clearly in the white when Stone initiated the contact. And yeah, you can be protected, you can push a guy out of bounds, but the initial contact has to happen while the ball carrier is still in the field of play. So the late hit, even though there was no malicious intent, a good call by the official and an unfortunate break for Ron Stone.
So with that, a first down at the 12-yard line.
And coverage right now. You got one-on-one at the top with Moreno Cropper. Really good one-on-one right there. You can take advantage on the back shoulder if you like it.
Haener looks that way and then goes underneath to the tight end Powles, who was cut down immediately by Derek Langford, who had the big hit earlier.
Trying to take advantage of that man coverage, see if they can't get a natural pick, but you can see quickly just how well coached Washington State is defensively.
Purdy Moore, the 32-year-old offensive coordinator.
Really good job, and obviously from a football family. Kellen Moore, his older brother, also an offensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys.
Second and 8. Haener hooks it up at the 5-yard line, and that is Powles again, who gets it down to the 3-yard line. Jordan Lee with the tackle of Raymond Powles.
Jordan Lee, double duty today. Normally a safety, but because of some of the absences, he's having to play a little bit at the second level as well. You see 13 all over the field for Washington State, but you'll see him at safety and at linebacker, so double dipping there in the back end. Probably 4-down territory for Fresno State here on the cusp of the goal line.
This is Mims. Mims gets the corner and gets in. Jordan Mims, with help from Elijah Gilliams in the backfield, a 4-yard touchdown run.
And a really good job. You're going to see quickly as they kind of just fake that handoff inside to Gilliam, and he becomes the fullback lead blocker. Gets just enough of Jordan Lee to slow down his momentum, which allowed Mims to get to the edge. Pretty well defended for the most part, but just too much speed for the Bulldogs as they put 6 more on the board.
Andre Miona with the extra point off the high snap. Able to get it down was Carson King. Took advantage of the short field. Washington State went for it on 4th down. They got stopped. Bulldogs take over, and Mims took it in. A 2-touchdown lead for Fresno State here in LA.
Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl, presented by Stifel on ABC, is brought to you by Capital One. What's in your wallet?
There's Jimmy Kimmel pregame with the Washington State band, trying to find his way. He used to play clarinet, so last year he played with the band. This year he said, I'm doing it again. How about the hat he's got on today, Greg?
I love the hat. I mean, what I also love, too, is that I don't know if he had the sheet music or anything of the Washington State band, but there was definitely a reed on the bass clarinet. So he was playing something. Might have been a little pitchy, though. I don't know. We'll see. We'll have to check with him whether or not he was really in unison playing the fight song.
Here's Victor on the return. Flags come in as he is taken down the 14-yard line.
During the return, holding on the receiving team number 59, half the distance to the goal from the end of the run, first down.
Back in 10 seconds after a message from Verbo.
It's Tim Tebow in a Verbo, where you have the run of the entire place.
Washington State offense, 24 total yards, 11 plays.
Really need a spark here. As you can see, the ball control so far very much in favor of Fresno State. Washington State hasn't had any rhythm whatsoever. They need their quarterback now, Cam Ward. I mean, he's the heart and soul. He's got to give them a little bit of energy. Inject some life into that side of the ball.
He has 2 completions for 9 yards. Tried to go with the screen. Instead, it goes the other way. Inside the 2-yard line was Bell. Maurice Norris quick to get on this.
And just great recognition, as you can see. I mean, look how quickly all those Fresno State defenders that were rushing the passer, look how quickly they all retrace and chase down Renard Bell, who was a guy that we didn't think was going to play, but now available here, and it's likely to become maybe his final college game.
Now from their own end zone, this is Watson on the carry as he just gets ahead to the 6-yard line. It'll be 3rd down. Meanwhile, this is Jake Haener on the Fresno sideline as he is going into the tent. Molly will be on top of that.
He took that big hit as he was rolling to his left. And also, as he was running out of bounds, collided with someone on the sideline, so hopefully he'll be all right.
3rd down and 11. And there was some movement.
False start on the offense, number 84. Half the distance to the goal, and it remains 3rd down.
And keep in mind the news that happened earlier this week when Washington State's offensive coordinator was named the head coach at North Texas, Eric Morris. So it's been somewhat disjointed on the staff of new responsibilities, new forms of communication, and the offense just can't find its rhythm. And now they're showing double-A gap pressure on 3rd and 14, and they bring it. Ward is backed up. May have gone out of the back of the end zone a la Orlovsky, and he did.
The ruling on the field is that the runner stepped on the end line. The result of the play is a safety.
Payne and Williams getting that pressure on Cam Ward, and it is a safety for Fresno State.
Hey diddle diddle, 3 up the middle, and the 3rd guy is going to be unblocked. That's the pressure here. It's actually, for the most part, pretty well protected there initially up the middle by Washington State. However, the right tackle, Faamote, just gets beat inside and forces Cam Ward off the spot, and he just runs out of room in the back of the end zone in pursuit there by Evan Williams and others. Just a really well-timed blitz and a great call by Kevin Coyle, the defensive coordinator.
Leonard Payne, the defensive tackle, along with Williams, forcing Ward back and out of the end zone. Kevin Coyle is the defensive coordinator for Fresno State. They have been red hot defensively during the 8-game win streak. They've held 6 of those opponents during the win streak to under 20 points.
So far, they just haven't been able to manufacture anything offensively. Behind the sticks, made several mistakes. I mean, they have more penalty yards than they do total yards of offense. 27 penalty yards and 20 offensive yards created, including just 4 through the air. And of course, Cam Ward, one of the better quarterbacks in the country, has really struggled to find any rhythm so far here early in the game.
This is driven back and goes into the end zone for a touchback. Molly, what's going on with Jake Haener?
Well, you saw him go into the medical tent. He was grimacing in pain when testing his mobility, but told his teammates, hey, I'm all right. You can tell he is dealing with some physical discomfort, but it's going to take a lot to keep Jake Haener out of this game, guys.
And I think it was when he was rolling to his left and Stone tackled him as he threw it away. He kind of rolled over on his right shoulder, and you saw right there as he was throwing it, tried to kind of wake up that rotator cuff. As you can see, he also had a collision out of bounds the next snap with a patron there on the sideline. So a couple of physical sequences there for Jake Haener, but tell you what, man, this dude's as tough as nails. If he can go, he's going to try to go.
And so efficient, 11 of 14 for 144 yards and a touchdown. Trying to get it to Mims out of the backfield. And Mims stiff arms his way for just a couple extra yards against Armani Marsh.
Just have to keep an eye on Haener to see if there's any discomfort that he shows. But right there, not a throw that would really test that right shoulder. More of a touch pass there. So something to keep an eye on as the game goes along.
Haener gets it complete over the middle to Remigio. The transfer from Cal, their second leading receiver, Nico Remigio.
Great recognition here. Man coverage across the board. You know you have your quickest receiver there in the slot to the right-hand side, and Haener takes the man beater, wins on the over route. Throw a little bit off the mark, but Remigio makes it happen. It's right there on 1st and 10. Haener and his intended receiver just not on the same page.
You know how much this means to him with everything he's been through this year, how determined he was to come back from the injury, to guide this team to a championship, which he did, and now up early and in control against a Pac-12 team. Mims goes ahead for a yard and a half.
Nice fit there defensively for Washington State. They've not done a great job so far early on against the run. They've had some guys out of position, but right there they fit it nicely to set up 3rd and long. Pressure look so far, low safeties from Washington State.
Showing pressure up front on 3rd and 9.
Here it comes off the right-hand side.
And now it is off the edge, then they back out of it. Haener on 3rd and 9, it was deflected at the line of scrimmage. Good job getting the hands up. As you see Brennan Jackson and that front doing their job.
That was very well done there by Washington State defensively. Jackson, of course, gets the tip, but the disguise was excellent. They had flat safeties. They brought and showed that pressure look, which forced the ball out of Haener's hands quickly, and Jackson was able to knock it down. Great sequence there from the Cougs.
King on the punt, Farrell back to receive. Heels on the 12-yard line. It's a knuckler that he has to come forward to get, and with that, an opportunity for a return for Farrell. Here at the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl. Where else can you find an 8-foot-tall, upright walking camel with a man's beard who knows how to vomit? That's next when we come back.
Back here at the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl mascot competition. Last year was a foot race. This year we're going gluttonous. It's an eating competition. Are you guys ready? Set, go! All right, 10 seconds on the clock. It looks like Jimmy Kimmel is in the lead. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And the winner for the second straight year is Jimmy Kimmel, and it has absolutely nothing to do with who's paying for this bowl game. Jimmy, you're full of hot dogs. How you feeling? Oh no. Oh, wait. We have an automatic booth review. I'm hearing that Jimmy Kimmel is disqualified for expelling the hot dogs, and our winner is Timeout the Bulldog. A historic day here at SoFi Stadium. Tess, I feel bad for you. There is nothing that could top this moment today.
No, Molly, there really isn't. And of course, only you, Molly, could make a giant barfing camel mascot classy, expelling the hot dogs. The euphemism of the week.
I believe in the competitive eating world, it's called a reversal of fortune.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's just, when you do your prep for the bowl game, you know these things. You learn these things. I also have spent an hour or two on July 4th watching the Nathan's Hot Dog Contest.
Now that is the mascot of this bowl game. An 8-foot-tall camel, Jimmy Camel for Jimmy Kimmel. He loved it. It's interesting when you talk to Jimmy about this bowl game, because to him, it's all about whatever we can do that's completely stupid and makes it more of a stupid idea, we're doing. 3rd down and 10 now. Cam Ward in this Wazoo offense, only 20 total yards. Play clock counting down. And the whistle comes in.
Timeout, Washington State. This is their second charge timeout of the half.
They just got that timeout in. They'll be facing a 3rd and 10, down 16-zip when we return to SoFi Stadium. You like ball, Greg?
I'm a big fan of ball.
Good, because we got plenty of it coming your way. 7:30 on ABC, New Mexico Bowl, SMU, BYU. Then ESPN 9:15, Frisco Bowl, presented by Servpro. North Texas and Boise State. Of course, Fresno State, who's up 16-zip right now, defeated Boise State to win the Mountain West Conference Championship, their 4th Mountain West Championship. They are in control here. Off the timeout by the Cougs, facing a 3rd and 10. Ward with time. Flag is down as he gets it complete to Lincoln Victor. Flag is all the way back at the line of scrimmage.
Free play with the defender jumping in the neutral zone.
That was Hudson.
Offside on the defense, number 17. That penalty is declined. The result of the play is a 1st down.
So the reception of Victor gets them the 1st down.
The previous play of a 1st down is under review.
Just going to see whether or not he was deep enough as he reeled in that completion. Of course, this could take a second too, because if he's not, then they might go back and actually take the penalty.
No doubt about it.
So it's a few things that they're going to potentially be looking at right here. Is Victor clearly enough there, but as he comes back, where is he relative to the line to gain? I don't see a whole lot there that would suggest overturning the call of the field.
Greg, if it stands, it's only their 2nd 1st down of the afternoon. What's the deal with this offense? I mean, listen, I understand that Eric Morris, who was the play caller, leaves on Tuesday to take a head coaching job, but what are you seeing here?
Well, it's been really tricky. First and foremost, you got to give credit to what Fresno State's done defensively. I mean, they're carrying over right where they left off against Boise in the Mountain West Championship. I mean, it's a group on that side of the ball that's played well down the stretch. But when you look at Washington State and really any air raid team, when they're in rhythm and when they get off to a fast start, they're very difficult to contain, but they haven't done a great job of protection. They also haven't done a great job as far as separating with their wide receivers.
Stands, first down.
It is a first down.
And I think obviously it's been well documented. They're at less than 100% amongst their wide receivers. Both Donovan Ollie opting to enter the portal, John Stribling entering the portal, recently committing to Oklahoma State. So they're at less than 100% at wide receiver. So the separation hasn't been great. And when the separation's not great in a pass-first style of attack, it's going to be very difficult to create offense.
See if they can get something before halftime here. Good pursuit of Watson. He's down the line was Carlton Johnson. He steps up to start now as Cale Sanders, who was the starting corner, entered the transfer portal.
So much of this offense is based on getting 1 million reps too, and a lot of these guys haven't had as many as some of their predecessors.
2nd and 11 for Ward. Long throw to the near sideline, incomplete. Was trying to connect with the true freshman Leighton Smithson.
A little bit off the mark there from Cam Ward, and my goodness, I mean, that's a 40-yard throw in the air from the far hash on the speed out. That's low percentage. Just barely missed on what would have been a heck of a throw.
3rd down and 11. Fresno fans who traveled well, the red wave making some sound here, trying to support their defense.
Watch the blitz off the right-hand side. You got a bunch of defenders over here on the left, on the right. That means probably going to have someone vacate with a pressure. Here it comes.
3rd down and 11. Track down. That was David Perales with the sack of Cam Ward. And that is now 22 and a half in his tremendous career he's put forth.
I mean, anytime you see this many guys on one side of the field, that tells you all you need to know. You're getting pressure coming off the right-hand side, and they come, and Perales goes the high side of the hoop and tracks it down. He timed that beautifully. Could feel and anticipate the snap. He gets right around the right tackle and makes another big play.
Remigio muffs it. Opportunity for the Cougs. Flag is down as Washington State recovers. We will check on the flag that was thrown down at the 16-yard line. You need a break before halftime. Set up something. Get this offense going. Could this be it?
Kick catching interference on the kicking team, number 29. 15-yard penalty from the start of the fall. First down.
So that opportunity is lost with the penalty. Kick catch interference.
Just as he was running by Remigio, you could see he kind of puts that right shoulder into him just enough to disrupt the concentration. And a good call by the officials.
And there's Cam Lampkin, backup defensive back who plays special teams, who just got enough of Remigio to bring out the flag. Ben Wilson was there to recover. But it's Fresno State after the penalty will take possession at the 37-yard line. Mims slithers his way through, and past midfield is Jordan Mims, finally taken down by Marsh, but he goes for 24 yards on this, Greg.
Just unbelievable patience here from Mims. I mean, nothing there initially, waits, and then boom. He finds it out the left-hand side, plenty of green space. But if he would have just stuck his nose up in there at 100 miles an hour, he wouldn't have had time to allow that thing to void on the left. That was just tremendous patience there by Mims.
Haener. There's nobody there.
Well, Joe, after failing to score last drive, quarterback Jake Haener immediately went to his offensive line on the sideline and said, we got to get their hands down, guys. Get in their faces and get underneath them. He implored them to play with more physicality, and Haener told us it's his job to hold his teammates accountable, and he was fired up, holding his O-line accountable, and they opened up that hole for Mims. You can see they're responding.
Molly, remember our conversation with Jeff Tedford yesterday? He said, you know what's so impressive about this guy is what happens beyond the field, his leadership and his commitment to hold his teammates accountable.
Intentional grounding on the offense, number 9. The quarterback was in the pocket and there was no receiver in the area. That penalty is a loss of down at the spot of the foul. Second down.
A good call here by the officials as things just weren't really there. You got a receiver working from left to right, protection's broken down, and they're really supposed to have a screen to the left, but they kind of get tackled and held up, and Haener has to lose it. So a good call by the officials. But back to what you guys were talking about with Jake Haener, when it comes to accountability, he can hold his teammates accountable because he holds himself accountable.
Yes.
And I think that there is oftentimes this generation doesn't respond real well to just being yelled at, but when you are yelling at yourself, then you can also notice that you can have an effect on everybody else as well by raising the level of your voice.
Haener, after the penalty, he's trying to find Moreno proper. It'll be 3rd down and 20.
It's just really difficult to impact teammates if you aren't ultimately holding yourself to a higher standard. And Jake Haener does that as well as anybody in college football, and his teammates are willing to go the extra mile to make sure they'll do whatever it takes to make sure he's protected and to make sure that they run the route according to the way he expects it to be run. It's really impressive to watch the response.
Third and 20, pressure, and they get to him immediately. That was Nusi Milani, the transfer from UVA, with the sack of Haener. And that is 4 sacks now for the Cougs.
Just a little bit of a miscommunication. You can see the offensive line all work to the right in what we call a rip alignment. All the players to the right is rip. To the left is Liz. Well, in that particular case, number 15, Milani, he gets around the left tackle in Spomer. Clearly just not on the same page as that left tight end stayed out wide. And as a result, Haener has to take the sack.
Carson King out to punt again. That was the first 3 and out for Fresno State this afternoon. Farrell backed up to the 11-yard line. 16-0. Bulldogs on top here in Southern California.
Back here in Los Angeles at the Jimmy Kimmel Bowl with the namesake of this bowl game. Hi, Jimmy. You've had quite a day. You were marching with the Cougs marching band, and we've been talking about it offline. Were you really blowing into that bass clarinet pregame?
First of all, I'm impressed that you know it was a bass clarinet. Most people think it's a saxophone, but it is a bass clarinet. And yes, I was certainly blowing into it. I was playing it. Was I playing the same song everyone else was playing? No. But was I playing the bass clarinet? Yes, I was. Yeah.
I thought I heard something a little off tune, and your stepping was a little off, but you looked great out there.
You know, it turns out that if you don't practice, you're probably not going to be in sync with the rest of the band. I was in the marching band in high school, Clark Chargers, Las Vegas, Nevada, and now I feel like I've graduated to college.
So you march in the band, you did the coin toss. You have a camel named after you. It's like you're a little kid on his birthday. We're just like celebrating everything. Jimmy, you have anything else in store for us today?
It's weird, isn't it? Well, I have this beautiful jewelry, and I have this lovely belt that will go right into our next yard sale. And my kids are here, and it's hard to explain to them why their father's name is all over But I just tell him I'm just to try to think of me as a god or something.
That'll be really good for them growing up. They won't have a complex at all with that, right?
Do you think I should not do that? Well, you know. Are you selling naming rights to the baby? Because I'm interested.
I am interested in selling the rights to the baby at the right price.
Well, just for the record, I said naming rights to the baby. I don't actually want another baby.
No.
But
no,
it would
you can't
be nice
have the baby.
To have a Jimmy Kimmel baby, wouldn't it?
Jimmy Kimmel and then my last name.
Sure,
Yeah. And then maybe if a play goes out of bounds and things get a little dicey, I'll wear this to protect myself.
If you feel this will offer you protection, I will give it to you right now, okay?
That's Jimmy Kimmel taking the
belt
off his back.
Though, but yes, there you go.
Oh, I don't know if this will fit me. It doesn't come in my size.
Right,
little baby Jimmy Kimmel right here. And I noticed that you're not wearing a credential this year. You're wearing bling instead. Did you have to have credential to get into the building? Do they know who you think
it's
you
funny.
are?
It's about half and a half. Sometimes people are like, hey, you got to, and I go, and it's just easier to wear the credential and not have to have that uncomfortable moment where you go, do you know who I am?
Right. Even though your name is everywhere.
Last year they didn't let me into the parking lot. I mean, it literally, the police came over and said to the lady, he's okay to go in. She's like, no, he's not. He does not have the right pass.
Yeah.
So they make me feel very welcome here.
I bet they do. And one more question before we let you go. Joe Tessitore is wondering if there's a sandwich this year. There was a Jimmy Kimmel sandwich last year. What's going on this year?
There is a sandwich. It is similar to the sandwich that I concocted. It is not the approved sandwich, but I'm going to bring Joe one a little bit later, and he can decide for himself.
Okay.
Which is better.
All right, you're headed up to the booth in the third quarter. The guys will see you then.
I think so. I don't think anyone's paying attention to the game anymore anyway, right?
At this point, no. We're already naming my baby, so no, we're good. We're good. All right, thank you for your time, Jimmy.
Thank you, Molly.
Thank you, Molly. Where the conversations will go with Jimmy Kimmel on this day every year. He has so much fun with this. I mean, the level of ridiculousness is off the charts every year with Jimmy here.
It's so funny. I like the idea of wearing the belt as protection. I feel like that's a solid move.
There's Cam Ward on 2nd and 11. He's got a lot of time, and he is able to get it complete as he finds Victor. It'll be 3rd down from there. The size of the belt, he'll probably bring it up to the booth. You know, he comes up every year, does the 3rd quarter with us, as he's there with his family in the field level suite. But the belt is just massive.
Yes.
They don't give out a trophy here for the winning team. They give out a championship belt.
Correct. And it is enormous. So definitely a worthy prize for what is obviously a massive game for both these teams.
3rd down and 3. Ward's going to give it to Watson, and Watson is going to be just about a half a yard short of that line to gain, tackled by Isaiah Johnson.
You got to think for sure after Jake Dickert decided to do it a little earlier, deeper in his own end, this is definitely go for it situation.
They had a turnover on downs earlier in this first half on a 4th and inches. This is a 4th and probably just about less than 1. Watson remains the back with Cam Ward. Only 58 total yards of offense for Wazoo. Ward going to get it easily and more as he keeps his balance and crosses midfield.
Great play call there. You have 5 guys rushing the passer, and then you have a blocker for the off-the-ball linebacker. Just a little QB draw, one-on-one, mano-y-mano. Nobody there to account for the quarterback, and a nice conversion there for Washington State. Now you got to think at some point, start to pick up the pace a little bit, see if you can't steal some points before the half.
And now already their 10th play of this drive. Their previous longest drive was 4. Ward. Oh, what a great effort! It's incomplete, but Carlton Johnson breaking on the ball. He thought he had an interception.
Man, watch the eyes here. Marshall eyes are in the backfield the whole way. As soon as the quarterback breaks that left arm away from the right arm, he knows that ball is coming out. He jumps on it immediately.
Diving effort.
Unbelievable effort. right there, I mean, man, it looked like he secured the
ruling
catch.
on the field is an incomplete pass.
Hey, let's bring in our rules expert, Matt Austin. Matt, is this just one of those process of the catch moments on the incomplete instead of interception?
I think it is, because I don't see him doing anything else, any kind of second act with the ball. As he's rolling over, he starts to get up and it comes out. So he's got to survive the ground. I don't think it's a catch.
Yeah, so help us understand, Matt, if he is going to the ground as he secures the catch, that means he has to complete it all the way through. But if he makes a second act, then he doesn't necessarily have to. Is that what you're telling us?
Well, yeah, if he took the ball out of one hand and showed it to the official or something as he's rolling over, I'd give him the benefit of the doubt. But in this case, he doesn't look like he fully controls it, and he drops it and doesn't survive the ground. So
yeah, looks like he's still in the process of moving. I agree with you. I think that's going to stand, but very, very close. And you know what that play right there tells me? It means at some point, I'm calling plays in the second half, probably going to go with an out and up in the direction of Carlton Johnson. Just a little double move, because if he's going to sit that aggressively in a 2-minute situation.
Here's Johnson again. Look at the athleticism here.
Yeah, just unbelievable break, too. I mean, just a perfect angle, straight line, excellent effort. And the throw, obviously, as you can see, the intended receiver, Farrell, he turns his shoulders. That ball's in behind him as well.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. It's an incomplete pass.
Incomplete pass, no interception. Carlton Johnson, who was injured at the beginning of the season when he dropped a weight on his foot, a freak weight room injury. But he steps up to start now as Kale Sanders entered the transfer portal. And he almost came up with a big one there. Just a minute and a half until halftime.
Right, he's at the top now. I'm making note of that play right there. I'm going with the stutter go or an out and up or a slant and go at some point immediately. In the next 2 plays, I'm going to try to hit him with the double move, because he just showed how aggressive he's willing to be. There's Ward. The slant and go.
But Ward is being chased. Able to survive him. Look at Ward extend this play. Lost the ball at the end, but it harmlessly goes out of bounds. That was Johnny Hudson coming after him.
Well, they did it. You're going to watch a little slant and go right here, but he stays out over the top the whole way. They tried to come right to it, but it was pretty well covered there by Carlton Johnson. Closed for a half second, but stayed over the top enough to talk Cam Ward out of it. That was really well done. It's almost as if someone told him, hey, man, might want to stay back a little bit more here, especially knowing how well the team has played defensively in the first 30 minutes.
They're down to 9, pressure off the edge. Ward, his jersey being dragged down by Evan Williams.
Timeout, Fresno State. This is their first charge timeout of the half.
And with that big play defensively on 3rd down, 48 seconds remaining, Fresno State uses the timeout.
Just all-out pressure here called by Kevin Coyle. Has called it a couple times now on 3rd down situations to force the ball out of Cam Ward's hands, but that time just an excellent job there by Evan Williams, grabbing hold of that jersey, being strong enough and dragging Ward to the ground.
Big play by Evan Williams. He said this week, he goes from being counted out at 1-4 to having a chance to get to 10 wins. This is awesome for us, and he has played inspired today. Haberer on the punt again.
For Fresno State, number 22 is now number 90. Number 22 is now 90.
Just when Washington State was hoping they could find a rhythm offensively. They went 12 plays before they were stopped. That big play by Williams.
False start on the offense, number 59. That's a 5-yard penalty. It remains 4th down. Please reset the game clock to 48 seconds. Thank you.
Fresno State has 2 timeouts remaining, 48 seconds. They look to get the ball back here. Up 16-0. A touchdown pass, a touchdown run, and then a safety when Leonard Payne and Williams forced Cam Ward out of the back of the end zone. Jake Haener, you see him there, 13 of 19, 170 yards and a touchdown in this first half. Remigio with the fair catch near the 15-yard line. Let's go to the studio and Kevin.
Tess, good afternoon. Coming up on the halftime report, Kevin Nagani alongside Booger McFarland as well as Dan Mullen. Deion Sanders' last game at Jackson State goes into overtime.
Yeah, and his defense let him down all day. 250 yards rushing for the opponent.
Speaking of a letdown, Florida not looking good in Vegas. Oregon State just dominated.
Well, we knew they had a great defense. They're holding them 26 yards rushing into the fourth quarter.
Yeah. Well, by the way, at the end of the game, if you could do us a favor, Tess, bring the belt back to Bristol. Boog wants it, all right? Back to you.
Of course he does. Well, Boog was ringside last week at Madison Square Garden where we were going for some boxing championship belts, but this would fit much better on Boog, the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl championship belt. Haener trying to spin out of it inside his own 5-yard line, and then a flick of the wrist and incomplete as he was trying to find Remigio.
Most teams, especially given how your defense has played, how the offense has been in full control, most teams, I think, with this field position, minus 15-yard line in a PN10 situation, you'd say, hey, run it a couple times, see if you maybe break one, get out to around the 30, 35, maybe 40. Then you get into a 2-minute operation. But it just goes to show you the trust that Jeff Tedford has and Jake Haener to make the right decision, even backed up in a 2-minute operation.
They have a very unique, close relationship, even beyond that you see of a veteran quarterback and a head coach. We'll just work Mims here in the final half minute. And Mims, a very good run. He's had a few runs where he's been patient. He's made 1 or 2 cuts, and he's gone ahead for over 10 yards. He goes for 14 more here.
And now you try to go a little hyper speed. See if you can't steal some points.
After Mims got the first down, and then he gets the completion. To your point, Greg, Moreno Cropper with the completion of 13 yards.
Timeout, Fresno State.
Now you have 20 seconds left with a timeout. Remember that timeout right there remaining.
30-second
That's
timeout
for the kicker. Talking to Jeff Tedford before the game. He's comfortable with his kicker from 53 yards. So that means they need to get to the 35-yard line. So still about 20 yards, 25 yards left to go.
Powerful plays brought to you by Duracell.
If you look at it, a lot of the conversation is centered around Jake Haener, but Mims, man, has done a great job taking advantage of some poor run fits from Washington State defensively. Of course, Washington State without some key pieces at the second level, but Mims has showcased some of that agility, showcased the quickness and the patience when running the football. He's had a really nice start to the game to complement that passing attack.
That's what he does in bowl games. Last year was his breakout game in the New Mexico Bowl. He went for 165 yards rushing, had 71 receiving, had 3 total touchdowns. He's off to a very good start here. Empty look for Haener. 20 seconds remain, 1 time out to use. Haener downfield, just slightly overthrown and off the left hand of Zane Pope. He had Pope in stride.
And it was a pretty good throw, too. It looked like Pope gave up just a little bit. Look, kind of slowed down a hair. You see him just slow down just a hair. Haener's anticipating him continuing to run. Pope's kind of slowing it down, knowing that free safety is up over the top in that 3-deep zone. Just a little bit off the mark, but I really believe if Pope continues to run at full speed, that's a completion.
You're absolutely right. If Pope strides that full, it's right in his hands. Haener. Sideline for a first down to Moreno Cropper.
Now you got to clock it. Right here, you got to clock it offensively, or they can call their final timeout.
Timeout, Fresno State. This is their final charge timeout of the half. This will be a 30-second timeout.
College football playoff semifinals, Saturday, December 31st on ESPN. The Fiesta Bowl will come your way at 4 Eastern. Number 2 Michigan taking on number 3 TCU in the Verbo Fiesta Bowl. Then at 8 p.m. it is prime time for the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. Number 1 Georgia and number 4 Ohio State. Your college football playoff semifinals. I mentioned just earlier, Greg, the relationship between Jeff Tedford, a veteran coach, and Jake Haener. He's got so much respect for him. And keep in mind, Tedford's had all-time greats. 6 guys have gone on to the first round. He said to us yesterday, man, I really love this kid. I am going to miss him so much. Not even about the football, beyond the football. He's known him since he's 9 years old. Today's the last time it'll be coach and quarterback.
He is definitely an extension of the head coach. And that's a great, great luxury to have when you're in the position of Jeff Tedford.
9 seconds until halftime. Got to get it out quickly. Complete, but zeros are on the clock as they're inside the 10 with Remigio. So Haener did his dance. He extended. Remigio got open, but that'll take us to halftime. A 39-yard play that comes up just short as they ran out of time.
And this just goes to show you, man, when Haener, he thinks it's going to be pressure, he makes an adjustment, an audible at the line of scrimmage to a blitz adjustment. Not there, he makes the off-schedule play, and right there, he just runs out of time. Just a ridiculously good play, but unfortunately not the right play at the moment. Molly.
Coach, your offense came out hot early. What do they need to do to finish drives like that last one?
Well, we got to stay out of long yard situations, right? It's their pressure is pretty good. We got to fix our pass protection right here. Defense is playing really good. It's a 4-quarter game. They're a good football team. We got to make some adjustments at halftime.
Yeah, you mentioned your defense. What are they doing to keep Cam Ward out of a rhythm?
I think they're changing up the looks. They're getting out to the quarterback a little bit, and they've really done a nice job stopping the run. But it's a 4-quarter game. We know they'll make adjustments too.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Jeff Tedford's defense, Molly, holding Washington State to 59 total yards. They got a safety. Halftime report is still to come after this message.
Slate of bowl games with our Capital One Bowl Mania update later on tonight on ABC. The New Mexico Albuquerque Bowl, SMU versus BYU, 7:30 Eastern time on ABC. And how about UConn and Jim Mora Jr., what he has done? They got to play in the Myrtle Beach Bowl. Congrats to them.
Yeah.
That game's up Monday on ESPN. Thanks, Bo, for your contribution. Log on to ESPN.com/BowlMania. Washington State get the ball after this.
Trash.
Welcome back to Capital One Bowl Mania.
The Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl presented by Stifel as part of Capital One Bowl Mania. The Mountain West champions, Fresno State, they came in determined and hungry and focused, and it's showing up on the scoreboard. 16-zip lead over Washington State. You started today, you said Jake Haener's top 3 quarterback in college football. He's got 233 yards, a touchdown pass. He's been managing things well.
Yeah, he's phenomenal. And, of course, it's just so unfortunate that he had to miss some time today because he would have been in the running for some postseason awards. However, you're seeing what he's capable of right now going against a pretty good Washington State defense. And, man, the way he's been able to extend plays, the accuracy that he's shown, the command at the line of scrimmage, getting them into the right play, out of the wrong play, and the leadership, too. I mean, there have been moments when they haven't played great in the first 30 minutes of this football game, and yet they still were fighting all the way to the very end. And if not for just running out of time, they might have been able to put 6 more on the board.
Means so much to Jake Haener of trying to secure a 10th win. Molly.
Well, Washington State head coach Jake Dickert blamed just 59 yards of total offense in that first half on their offensive line play. He said, we're getting manhandled up front. And his message to his offensive line was buck up and play with more physicality. You're not giving Cam Ward any time to make a play. And his message to Cam Ward in the locker room was, you just have to trust your teammates around you and rip it. We can only come back by being aggressive in this game, guys.
Been sacked 3 times, only 59 total yards, as you mentioned. Only 16 yards rushing. Washington State does receive this second half kickoff, though, so an opportunity to get things going. SoFi Stadium, opened 2 years ago, will be home to the College Football Playoff National Championship. And aerial coverage is provided by Goodyear, road tested and game ready. Are you ready for the road? Goodyear, more driven. Of course, hosted the Super Bowl last February. Will be hosting the College Football Playoff Championship in year number 2 of the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl.
Big drive here for Washington State. Struggled so much in the first half. And you heard Jake Dickert a second ago tell Molly just the emphasis at the line of scrimmage needs to improve. I mean, they really struggled throughout the first 30 minutes, and they start here now the second half. Quick pass. That'll take some of the pressure off the front.
6 yards to Robert Farrell. Amazing to detail his path to get to this point. Molly will have that story coming up a little later. And we're on 2nd and 4 as he rifles that over the middle and gets it complete again to Farrell.
First drive of the second half, just so incredibly important. You finally get a chance to go in at halftime, burn some chalk, make some adjustments. So you can certainly send a message, especially if you can convert, become successful on that opening possession of the second half.
Ward gets it out to the perimeter. Smithson.
This is one thing that I didn't think they did a great job of in the first 30 minutes. They just didn't spread the ball horizontally. They tried to kind of go right at Fresno State defensively, and Fresno State was up to the task. Now you're seeing some quick passes, and you're seeing Cam Ward kind of spread the ball horizontally and kind of force the Bulldogs kind of get out of that phone booth that they operated in so much the first half.
Receivers outside the numbers, an empty look. There is pressure off the edge as they get it again to Farrell, but this time it was well defensed as Farrell is wrapped up. The pursuit came with Maurice Norris cleaning it up.
And 2 downs to get it here. If you're Washington State, history's any indicator, going to be extremely aggressive on 3rd and short, even in their own end.
3rd and 2. Ward will run it himself, and Ward will have it past midfield and a first down.
This part of the field, 1st and 10. Might expect some pressure from Kevin Coyle defensively. That's kind of what they did. As soon as Washington State started to pick up a little bit of momentum offensively, they kind of squashed that momentum in the first half with a blitz. Let's see if they opt to bring it again. And the look right here in the early looks as though that pressure's coming. Here it comes.
Again to the outside. Farrell was able to keep his footing and still trying to fight for yardage as he spins down towards the 41-yard line.
It's a good job by Cam Ward, just seeing that pressure off the left-hand side, knowing there's disappearance. There's your outlet to Farrell to the outside. Nice successful play in the RPO that sets up a 2nd and medium. Formation into the boundary. This would be a spot right here. They can look at a one-on-one to the right-hand side. Lincoln Victor. He's one-on-one down here at the bottom. Let's see if they might take a look in that direction.
2nd and 4. It's Watson. And they were able to get to him again. Carlton Johnson showing athleticism and coming up and cutting down Nakia Watson.
Just an excellent job by Carlton Johnson. He's done such a good job really in the last half of the season. He came back from that injury and has been a presence there on the perimeter. Nice job in the open field, dropping Watson for the loss.
3rd down and 6. There's the red wave, those fans who have traveled down to root on their Mountain West Conference champions, the Bulldogs, looking for a stop defensively. Johnson presses up at the line, now backs off. Cam Ward trying to find something here. Opening drive of the second half, launches it downfield where it's intercepted. L.J. Early with the pick. So Cam Ward and Washington State. The first turnover of the game. He was trying to find Lincoln Victor downfield. But instead, it's L.J. Early turning around and making the play. 16-0 Fresno State. Bulldogs back out there on offense when we return to SoFi.
Welcome back to the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl presented by Stifel. I think social media, we have a tendency to live our best lives through social media.
No doubt.
And this was the inaugural Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl picture posted by our very own Joe Tessitore.
Gorgeous photo.
You guys look great together.
Someone is
I like
missing.
that.
The sad part is, here was the actual photo that was taken, and the person on the left
What happened there?
was posing for the picture, only to be instructed by Joe to come a little tighter on me and Jimmy.
I think it's perfectly framed, to be honest with you, Jimmy.
I'm trying to
Maybe, Greg, would you just
here.
mind,
Is this-
just
there we go.
stand
That's
right
about
there.
right.
That'd be great.
Now, this
Okay,
is
perfect.
a booth
This is
right here.
great.
That's perfect. We should do the whole game like this.
I'm so sorry. I had no idea that was happening. I never would have allowed it. Is this game still on?
It's absolutely 16-0 Fresno State.
I have
They've
so
been in
much
complete control.
Christmas shopping
You
to
should have
do.
told Washington State what time the game started. I don't know that. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well, thank you. This is one of the dumbest things I've ever been involved in. It's weird to see my face on goalposts, and really weird especially for my 5-year-old to see his father's face.
What was he said?
You know what he said? And this is, I think, he said, "I'm bored."
That really?
Yeah,
You're
he's bored.
But son, this is my bowl game. He's bored.
It really didn't hit home with him. No, I guess he's holding out for the Super Bowl.
Here's Mims again with a first down run for Fresno State. There's your face. I mean, your face is plastered everywhere, Jim.
It really is. It's embarrassing. The whole thing is embarrassing. I don't know how this happened. I don't think it's going to happen again. I think this might be the last one. It's too much. It's warping my children.
I was really appreciative of the effort shown. It's really more not necessarily about execution, it's about effort.
Yeah.
What you did in the pregame, playing the bass clarinet.
Yeah, playing the bass clarinet.
Impressive.
I'll let you. Okay.
Oh no, you can. I mean,
something's
feel
going
free.
on here.
It's your bowl game. You can do whatever you want,
I
really.
don't want to be that celebrity that ruins the game.
It's on first down. Oh, it's tipped and it falls harmlessly incomplete.
Yeah.
So bass clarinet,
like the game itself, harmlessly incomplete. Yeah, I played in the marching band when I was in high school, and you know the clarinet. If you're looking to attract women, that's the way.
I mean, nothing screams
They go
Vegas
crazy
more than that,
for it.
right?
Yeah, it's a practical instrument.
you could have played lead guitar or lead vocals, but you decided on the clarinet.
Could have played the piano, could have learned to sing. Didn't do any of those things. Instead, played the clarinet, and it only came in handy today. First time in my whole life.
Well, the gift that keeps on giving, I suppose.
Second down and 10. Hayner quickly to the outside. It'll be third down at about 4 as he hooks up with Eric Brooks. You had the two teams over to the show this week?
I had each team. We had them separately. We didn't want any incidents before the game, but each team came. They hung out at the show. We took pictures afterwards. All very nice guys. It's so weird to see how much younger these guys are.
You feel so old when you're around these guys,
really.
don't you?
You know what's really the worst part is that when the coaches are much younger than you are.
That is eye-opening. Yeah. I mean, when the coordinators are quite a bit younger.
They have a 32-year-old offensive coordinator, does Fresno State.
Insane.
Third down for the Bulldogs. Hayner's had a very efficient day. 17 of 26. See if he can extend things here. He's got time, goes underneath. That's going to be well short of
Break
the
it down
lines
for
again.
us, right, Jimmy? You be the color analyst for a moment. Tell us what you think.
Well, I will tell you what I told the Cougars. I went into there, we got together a little huddle before the actual bowl game, and I said, what I'd like you to do is just kind of hang back the first half and then maybe well into the third quarter and make an exciting game of it.
Really?
Because I would like
taking
this
it to
to be a game that people remember, and even refer to in shorthand, like, oh, man, remember that Kimmel Bowl? I mean, that would be something for me.
Hey, can I ask you a question here? Because
Yeah.
I think there is a massive improvement this year compared to last year with your bowl game. And that is, last year you had the generic plastic credential, but this year, I mean, totally blinged out.
I do have, they presented me with this beautiful piece of jewelry that I think fell off of Little John's Bentley or something.
How many cubic zirconias are actually on there?
All of them. All the world's remaining CZs.
Oh, we're going to take a quick break. More with Jimmy Kimmel at his bowl game here at SoFi Stadium when we return to LA. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl presented by Stifel. And Washington State moved the ball by throwing the wide receiver Robert Farrell. And coaches told him on the sideline, we're going to keep coming to you, so be ready. They're giving you some space, so you need to capitalize on that. And I'm sure Jimmy would like to see him rip off an explosive play so he can wake up a little bit and get a little more into this game, guys.
Yeah, I think we'd all like to see Washington State get on the board here.
Yeah, give us the play call, Jimmy. What are you going with to get Farrell to rock here?
You know what I would do? The old button hook.
Oh,
do people still do that?
Yeah, sure.
The old Statue of Liberty.
There you go. The old Statue of Liberty.
Here's Cam Ward, has time, goes over the middle, and does get it complete as he goes to Billy Revere. So perhaps Washington State finds the rhythm here.
That is what I was actually thinking they should.
The old Billy Revere.
Billy Revere here. His great-great-grandfather was not Paul Revere, but Dave Revere. No relation.
The lesser-known Revere of the Revere family.
But revered nonetheless.
Yes. 21 yards as he gets the connection here. Watson takes it straight ahead, and he goes for a gain of 8 yards. Are you happy with the performance of your mascot, Jimmy Camel, today?
I don't know if you've gotten a good look at Jimmy Camel. He's a vomiting camel. He's designed to look like me. Looks instead looks somewhere like a combination between the Toys R Us giraffe and the Ayatollah.
Hang on a second, wait. He was designed to look like you.
Yeah, he was designed to look like me, but it didn't quite work out as we'd hoped.
That's the first time in American broadcasting history that Jeffrey the Giraffe and Ayatollah have been used in the same sentence.
They're actually in hell together. God rest their souls. Now listen, we might get something here. I mean, I'm starting to feel like
we need something.
You think it's 4-down territory for the Cougs here?
Perhaps. My cousin Sal's got money on this game, which
he's got the other side though.
I know, but that's why I think maybe Washington State has a shot.
Because he's like Mush. He's like Eddie Mush.
Yeah.
Here's 3rd down and 3, and they get a 1st down. So perhaps I think you may be right, Jimmy. This could be the breakthrough for Washington State here on this drive, as Ward is able to get it to Smithson for 6 yards and a 1st down.
Wow, this stadium is almost 1/3 of the way full. That's exciting. You know, last year I got a lot of texts, especially when I was on with you guys, of people going, oh my God, you've got a bowl game? What's going on? This year, no text at all. Nobody. Nothing.
Really?
It's amazing how quickly they forget, isn't it?
It's so sad. But here we go.
Here we go.
Look at
Ward
this.
getting free inside the 20, and then he's taken down at the 15-yard line. Cam Ward.
You might be the good luck charm for Washington State offensively up here with the headset on.
I might have to hang out up here in the booth if you guys don't mind for the rest of the game.
If you bring food, we'll let you do that. You can take over the booth all you want.
Bring you some roast beef sandwiches.
Guillermo, bring them in. What do we got here, Guillermo?
Guillermo's transfixed right.
Look at the size of these
I
things.
feel like it's
here.
a little light. I mean,
well, these are only half
at this.
sandwiches. Come on, guys. Yeah, these are roast beef sandwiches, not the ones last year I came up with the sandwich for the game.
Well, we're going to be celebrating a Washington State touchdown by taking a bite of the sandwich as he gets it complete to Victor again.
How much does that weigh?
More important is that I describe sandwiches that no one can see or eat. Oh, I guess they can see them.
They're right here. Look
yes,
at the size of these things.
These are they're on pretzel bread. They're not what I designed, but I'm going to tell you something. They're pretty darn good.
Yeah, they look good.
Yeah.
They look good. Guillermo, have you taken any of these down today?
Yeah, Guillermo's taking a...
Here's the review.
Yeah, Guillermo had a beer at about 9 o'clock this morning.
9? I had the under on 9, but I like that.
Yeah, you don't
beer
have
and
a
sandwich.
microphone on, so we can't actually hear you. It's one of the
Just
things.
keep yelling.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Here, let me take these for you. You want to put these down here?
Yeah, sure. Well,
Second down and 7.
I think it'd be fun if you do the rest of the broadcast with a sandwich in your mouth.
Just with it, just chewing on a sandwich the whole time as he gets it to not only here.
Probably be a little bit of an improvement over the usual voice.
It would be.
Yeah.
You're still upset about that Instagram
I'm
photo,
probably not
Greg?
going to. I've blocked Joe Sense, so I felt like that was harmful
My own
content.
partner blocking me on social media.
Would you not do the same,
What it's
Jimmy?
come down to.
Guillermo would never do that to you.
He would know. He would never ever do that to me. Would you, Guillermo? He doesn't know what we're talking about right now.
I cropped Greg out of a photo. It was actually quite remarkable. 3rd down and 3 now.
Here we go.
Let's see what Ward comes up
Got
with.
some room with 12 in
Pick
the
up the
slot.
pressure. Ward extends the play. Look at all the time he's got, Jimmy.
He's got a lot of time.
Still looking to the end zone.
Flag down.
And then goes out. Quick eyes. Flag in the end zone there. So we'll check on that as Bailey and Johnson got to him.
I think they're going to get a hold against the defender that was covering Farrell. Farrell ran a little slant to the slot and tried to break away.
On the defense, number 43.
And it looked like they kind of grabbed his jersey as he was trying to break.
From the end of the run, and it carries an automatic first down. End of the run.
Let's take a look here. Look, as you can see, there's Farrell in the middle of the field trying to break away, trying to create a little separation. And as you can see, the defender.
Who was that, Jimmy? Which defender was that?
That was
it was Maurice Norris.
Oh, that's right. It was.
Come on, guys, pay attention to your heads in the game.
Yeah.
And thank you for that giant card informing me of this.
This is the whole BS up here, right?
You know, I do a lot of research.
You got the rosters down, I feel like.
Oh, yes. Are you kidding me?
You want to call it? You want to do some play-by-play? Well, by the way, the size of this board, it's like wallpaper.
It's like
go
one
ahead,
of
Calhoun, you can do this.
It's like one of Bob Hope's cue cards.
Go ahead, Kimmel. Here we go. Here's your quarterback on 1st and goal. There's your running back. Go for it.
All right. Okay. All right. Nakia Watson's all right. Well, I can't see. I can see the quarterback because he's number 1. But that's about all. Oh, he fired. Oh, looks. Oh, he's just short of the end zone.
Very close.
That was Robert Farrell again with a gain of
about 2. That was a heck of a tackle there. Did he get in? Does the ball cross the plane? It's so close.
That's a line. That's not a plane, Greg. Jeez,
if that were a plane, how would you?
Here we go. 2nd and goal. Here's your quarterback. And who we got for the running back right there?
This is like Nakia Watson.
You can watch the monitor right here.
This is like take your kid to work day.
The ruling on the field is that the runner was down short of the goal line.
Now we get the
That play
replay. This is only going to take 17 minutes, by the way.
Oh, they're going to review the play?
This, yeah.
Well, good. That's
we could eat this
a good time for me to be here.
Sandwiches here.
Yeah.
You guys think you could eat this whole platter of sandwiches before the end of this game?
Before the end of this replay, I think. They're taking a look here.
Why do the replays take so long?
Isn't it absurd?
Where is it happening?
It's like a booth next door over here. You always want to like bang on the glass and come on.
Sometimes it seems like the replay guys were in the bathroom when the play happened, and we have to wait for them to get back to finish it.
It's Norris who made the tackle there, just short of the goal line. And as Farrell was trying to make that turn and extend. What do you think, Greg? Did all it takes is just a pimple of leather on that football to cross that white line.
It's difficult because you have to have indisputable video evidence beyond all doubt to overturn. With the white gloves and the white line, it's almost difficult to tell exactly where the ball was. So I don't know if I see anything to suggest that it needs to be overturned and ruled a touchdown.
I liked your use of the word pimple there, and it did occur to me that a football is essentially pimples and dimples.
That's what it is.
Which is actually the name of the new club I'm opening.
Yeah.
Kimmel's Pimples and Dimples.
Pimples and Dimples,
Cover charge would be?
Well, no cover charge at all, but there's a 2-drink minimum.
Two.
I like when the replay takes forever, and then they just quarterback sneak it right into the end zone, and it was as if it didn't need to happen at all.
You want to make a touchdown call here? You ready to make a touchdown? Here, come on in, Kyle.
Well, I don't know. If I'm Cam Ward, I'm going to go right in there.
There's Ward.
Yeah.
There's your running back, Watson. And then this is the guy who's offset as the blocking back.
Mathers.
Yep, so here's the running back. Here's the quarterback.
And then there's a big mess that nobody can make any heads or tails of. And Nakia Watson, is he in? He's in for a touchdown. And we got a game here, folks.
Look at him punch it.
You just called a touchdown.
Wow.
I mean, is that not a career high right there?
It was. It really was.
So finally, Washington State gets on the board.
And we've got a game here.
We do, which would make Cousin Sal very, very unhappy that the things have tightened up. And Nakia Watson, that was a drive they had to have.
Had to have it. Great drive, good balance. And an excellent run there at the goal line by Watson to push it across. Now going to go for 2 here to see if they can't make it a 1-score game. And with the mobile Cam Ward, you got to think with the ball on the left hash, roll him to the right, see if you can't get a little bit of a pick, and see if you also can't hit Farrell in the flat. What do you think?
The safety earlier, so trying to cut it to a 1-possession game, get it to 8.
And let's not forget Pimples and
Pimples and Dimples,
and maybe a handoff to Dimples. Yeah.
Right. I think somebody needs to get that on their jersey nameplate, Pimples and Dimples. All right, here's the 2-point attempt. Ward being chased, escapes it, survives it. He's all the way back to the 25-yard line to launch it to the end zone, and it's incomplete.
So that means they didn't get the 2 points.
They did not
right?
get the 2
But they'll get another chance now to go back and kick the extra point, right? No
rule. That would be
you get a do-over?
Come in.
Well, then it turned out that was a bad decision.
We always have so much fun when you come up here. It's such a blast.
That means I have to leave, right?
That means you have to leave.
Okay, all right.
Actually, at Junior Bowl, you can do whatever the hell you want, to be honest with you. Great to visit
thanks,
with you.
guys. Great
Happy
to see you,
holidays.
Joe.
Guillermo, happy holidays.
Man.
God
Absolutely.
bless you and your family, my man.
Good to see you, Guillermo.
All right, can we
get
pop Craig out just
let's
quick?
get a good shot. You guys go ahead. I'm going to take a break. Take
Get
5.
a picture that excludes Craig again.
If I'm in the middle, it's tough to exclude me. It's perfect.
Sal, get in here.
And this game is truly a full circle moment for Washington State wide receiver Robert Farrell. It was just 3 years ago that Farrell was living out of his car just 6 miles down the road from SoFi Stadium, and Farrell played at El Camino College here in Los Angeles. He didn't have housing during the summer, so he slept in this bright green 2-door Mustang in a grocery store parking lot every night that summer with another teammate. He parked in the same spot every night, woke up early every morning to move the car before street cleaners came into the lot, and spent the day at the football facility using their showers, washing machines, and Wi-Fi. He told us sleeping in that car every night changed him and fueled his drive to make it to the biggest stage in college football. And he said that he wouldn't be back here at SoFi if it weren't for those challenges that he faced right down the road, Tess.
Isn't that amazing, Molly? What somebody will do to try to find success, to get through, face adversity, push on. And by the way, today he has more catches than any receiver on either team in this game. 7 catches for Farrell.
Just a special story of perseverance and true love of the game and willingness to go do whatever it takes to continue a dream, man. Just an amazing story, and he's been a lot of fun to watch, not just today, but really throughout the course of this season.
(16-6). After Watson had the touchdown run, failed 2-point conversion attempt. And Mims with another big run. Jordan Mims, he has had himself a day. Jaden Hicks had a tackle him, but that's over 100 yards. Greg, he's averaging 11.2 per carry.
And just a great job here. You can see they're reading Ron Stone. Ron Stone runs right at the mesh. They decide to hand it, and he's one-on-one with the safety.
Hayner gets it complete as they cross midfield. That was Nico Remigio.
And this right here, as you can see, great cutback vision. How about the tackle, too? If not, for the freshman All-American Jordan Hicks. Mims' head is going to be running right underneath the goal
Mims
post.
again! Huge day for Jordan Mims. They've had 7 plays, over 20 yards. 29 here.
It is a heck of a move right there. You see that right leg in the ground, slides to his left, shakes Brennan Jackson out of his shoes as he was dropping back in pass coverage, came up to stop the run. But him against Mims in the open field, I mean, how about that stat line? Averaging nearly 13 yards a carry against this Washington State defensive front.
He was their bowl MVP, offensive MVP a year ago. And right now he has the most impressive stat line by far again. Quickly they get it to Delana, and he is tackled immediately that time, as it was Jordan Lee quick to get on him.
I think so much of the attention has been paid, obviously, to Jake Hayner and Remigio and what is a really talented wide receiver core. Moreno Cropper, man, I tell you what, it's the balance that this offense has that makes it so difficult. And the reason why they're as balanced as they are is because Jordan Mims is excellent.
Sherrod, he bounces it, and Sherrod inside the 10, and it'll be 1st and goal, Fresno State. And what a great way to respond by Fresno State after Washington State finally drove and scored, as you see Kirby Moore, the young offensive coordinator.
Yeah, it's been a really nice drive too, and obviously most of the damage is done on the ground. Molly told us a little earlier about how Jake Haener had kind of issued a challenge to the offensive line. Say, hey man, we got to protect more. We got to do better doing this, doing that. Well, they're responding now after they've experienced really their first sign of adversity all game long. They've answered the call.
False start on the offense, number 73. 5-yard penalty, and it remains 1st down.
It's not that often where you make a mistake as the left guard and you come out. Usually the offensive line not usually gonna pull a guy, but you jump off sides inside the 10. Guess what? We're gonna give someone else a shot, and in comes Tyrone Sampson to play left guard for Isaiah.
1st and goal, pick up the pressure. Haener, shallow cross, gets it to Remigio, and Remigio brings it in for the score. Jordan Mims set him up, ran the ball well. Remigio took it in, 11-yard touchdown catch. That was an impressive drive for Fresno State. Went 75 yards in just 6 plays in just 3 minutes. That is no good. Extra point by Miono is no good. 22-6 is our score.
This is a thing of beauty right here by Jake Haener. Getting through his progression, getting off number 1. This is number 1 in the protection. This is number 2. That's the way you're going to go about it. You got the wheel out to the left. You got the shallow cross with the mesh coming from the right. Look at how he scans. Eyes to the left. Works all the way back on the progression. Gets it to Remigio. And he's one-on-one in a race to the front pylon. Just a thing of beauty. Knowing where you're at. You don't like the wheel. Perfect. Get off it quickly. Things happen fast in the red zone. You get it to a shallow cross. And Remigio finds pay dirt. Just excellent job of going through the progression. And a terrific answer by Fresno State.
Number 22 of Fresno State is now number 90. 22 is now 90.
8 straight wins for Fresno State. It's a team that started the year 1-4 and dealt with injuries. Most significant to that guy, Jake Haener. But he said, I'm not shutting it down. I'm going to do everything it takes to be back with my team. And he did just that. Led them to the program's 4th Mountain West championship. And now up 16 here in the final half minute of the 3rd quarter of this bowl game. Victor on the return. Clutch delivery brought to you by Chipotle.
Well, Washington State goes down and scores, makes it a 10-point game. What does Fresno do? They come right back and answer. They start by handing it off to Jordan Mims on the zone read. He breaks it back inside. Then they hand one off to the left. He makes a guy miss, and he's out in space. Not to be outdone, though. Put the backup in. Sherrod comes in, gets it inside the 10. After they drop back after a false start, they trust Jake Haener to go through his progression very quickly on the wheel route. Didn't like it. Hits the shallow cross. And they answer what was the first great drive of the day for Washington State.
Ward gets it to Victor. Ball came out at the end. They're ruling him down.
Ruling on the field is that the runner was down. 2nd down.
Lavelle Bailey was trying to strip that ball away.
Washington State's probably going to want to go fast, too. So they can't take a look at it.
That's what they do. They get it to Watson, who will move the sticks.
Tell you what, it was really close. I mean, I thought it was very close.
The third quarter.
And take a look as we go to break here at the end of the third quarter. They came up and snapped it. This is what happened moments ago.
Victor engaged right there. Is he down? Is he down? Yes, it appears as though he was, but it was close, that's for sure. As the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl, presented by Stiefel, returns after a word from our ABC stations.
Glad you're with us here at SoFi Stadium for the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl, presented by Stiefel, as aerial coverage provided by Goodyear, celebrating the challenge of road games everywhere. Are you ready for the road? Goodyear, more driven. Of course, a reminder, tomorrow, NFL Sunday Countdown, 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN and the ESPN app. Cam Ward to start the fourth quarter, trailing as he just shuffles it ahead to Robert Farrell. He has been the most active receiver for Washington State.
Just hasn't been much of a threat down the field so far from Washington State. Everything kind of underneath. At some point, they got to challenge this Fresno State defense down the field.
Only 125 yards for Cam Ward. Sidearms it out, but right on top of it was Fresno State, as Lincoln Victor couldn't go anywhere. In game, Remigio is signing autographs and taking pictures with the fans. Look at the smile on his face as he's going to the field level suites. He just had a touchdown moments ago from Haener. Third and 2, Ward. And he's going to be tackled well short. It was Bailey and Bridges combining to get the tackle of Ward. That's what it's all about right there, isn't it, Greg?
Absolutely. I mean, field level suites, not necessarily the norm at most college venues, so embrace the place, right?
Yeah, but a little kid smiling with an autographed football is.
Absolutely.
Fourth down. Bulldog supporters making some noise here. They have traveled well to LA. And now a timeout is going to be used by Washington State.
Timeout of the half.
And we will take that break with them. A 4th and 4 when we return to the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl. Point made by participating universities by making a donation to the General Scholarship Fund. We thank Allstate for that. Magnificent SoFi Stadium. Everybody's going to be back here in a few weeks to watch the College Football Playoff National Championship. Right now, all eyes on 4th and 3 for Washington State, trailing by 16 here in the fourth quarter. Ward, batted away. David Perales bats it away on 4th down. Washington State, 1 of 3 on 4th down, and another turnover on downs. Big play, Perales.
Cam Ward thinking it's going to be all-out pressure, trying to get the ball out quickly and see if his receiver can make a run for it. But when they drop out, it allowed Perales to just come around the edge, read the quarterback's eyes, go vertical, and make yet another huge play in the game. What a great story. David Perales has been a guy that was completely under-recruited, finally gets his chance now, and what a career he's had up to this point.
He missed the conference championship game. He's not at 100%, but he's given a huge effort here in LA. Powell's with the reception.
I think Perales is one of those great stories that you hear about. A guy that had no offers really coming out of high school, suits up to play in the North-South All-Star game, thinking it would be the last time he puts on the pads, ends up having 4 sacks in the game and getting recruited basically off that tape alone, and then parlays it into an offer down the road to Fresno State. Now has 21 and a half career sacks,
Offside
38
defense, number 48,
career
contact.
tackles for loss. I
5-yard
mean,
penalty.
a true underdog story, man, and really just a special story to tell when you really think about it.
First team all-conference player. He's had a magnificent career. Their best defensive lineman. Leads major college football in forced fumbles per game. A constant, hard-working defensive end who just made another big play. Mims, and he's going to add to his total with another run for a first down. Jordan Mims has been north-south, turning the corner, heading upfield with big plays all day. Another 12 yards, Greggy. It's 141.
Yeah, just excellent job of running, and also at the line of scrimmage, too. I mean, he is setting up some blocks, there's no doubt. But those offensive linemen have done a great job staying in tandem and making it difficult on those young, inexperienced linebackers to kind of locate exactly where Mims is. It's been really nice along the line of scrimmage.
False start on the offense, number 1. That's a 5-yard penalty, and it remains first down.
Mejio, who had the 11-yard touchdown catch in the third quarter. First full day of the bowl season. Nothing there for Mims this time as Ron Stone Jr. makes the tackle. Big Ron, his dad, who weighed about 100 pounds more than Ron Stone Jr., played in the NFL for such a long time, 12 seasons, was a star at Boston College and went on to the Cowboys and the Giants and the Niners, and was a multi-Pro Bowl player, excellent player, played in a couple Super Bowls, won one with the Cowboys. Ron Stone Jr. carries on the family tradition with Washington State. Mims goes for 6 more yards. You'd think Mims was like, you know, the workhorse when you look at his stat line. He's only had 13 carries.
Right.
He's got 146. He only has 13 carries.
I was thinking the exact same thing. It's like, man, he's getting a lot of touches. I mean, you'd think they'd get Sherrod in there a little bit, but he's just because he's made the most of his touches doesn't necessarily mean he's had a heavy workload.
He's averaging over 11 yards per.
Pressure look coming here. Watch that 3 up the middle blitz. Here it comes. Right there. You see they're showing it right here. 3 up the middle. Make the adjustment. Looks like Washington State's going to check as well. There you go.
Haener gets it out quickly, and with that, we'll have a 1st and goal as he connects with Nico Remigio.
Little game of cat and mouse there. You show pressure, and then you back out initially because of the adjustment and the audible. But a great job of recognizing that by Jake Haener, knowing that there's going to be zone droppers. He's going to have a guy inside around the hash mark where there's going to be that huge vacancy. He puts it on Remigio immediately, and he's able to tight turn for the first down.
High snap. And Haener's just going to toss it away. How does Haener project at the next level? And there's a head coach he's got who's produced 6 first-round quarterbacks.
I love
him as an NFL prospect.
I mean, I think he's going to get knocked because he doesn't have traditional length. He doesn't have a massive arm. But if you just watch him, he's a gamer, man. I mean, he's going to go to the Senior Bowl, and he's going to be next to some of those guys that might go ahead of him. And I bet you from a production standpoint, there won't be many that will do it better than him. Plus, then you measure up all the different aspects of playing quarterback at a high level up there. Competitiveness, toughness, he's got it all.
Mims on the pitch. Mims inside the 5. It'll be 3rd and goal. And
the way I see his projection, I honestly, genuinely believe this. I think he's going to be a starter in the NFL. I really believe that. Now, it's going to take a little time. The guy that he reminds me of is Heineke for the Commanders. A guy that just kind of hung around in the league, was a backup for a bit, then finally got his chance. And now when you see him, the way he captivates the locker room and how everyone has a sense of belief when he's under center, I think there's a lot of similarities to both him and Jake Haener that would definitely translate to a franchise guy.
Here's Mims on a direct snap as he tries to reach it in and gets in. Jordan Mims, his 2nd rushing touchdown of the day.
Great extension here. Does the ball cross the plane before the knee or the elbow is down? It appears as though it does. That left arm was on the ground, but it didn't appear as though the forearm was down as that ball was reached forward with the right arm. Of course, every play's reviewed, but it looked like right there that call will be confirmed.
The ruling on the field is a touchdown. That play is under review.
This opportunity for Fresno State, they have all talked about it, playing a good opponent, a Pac-12 team, of being out there one more time and ending on a high note. And that's the way Jordan Mims is running, with purpose to deliver on that.
Excellent effort. Anytime Fresno gets a chance, I mean, look, I remember all the way back to the Reggie Bush game in 04, right? Or 05, whatever year that was. When Fresno gets a chance to play against a Pac-12 team, you better bring 2 chin straps and know that it's going to be a 60-minute war, because that's Fresno, man. They live for the opportunity to compete against the Pac-12, and they've had a couple chances already this year, came up a little bit short, but man, it doesn't appear as though they're going to let their 3rd chance go by the wayside.
This is what they're looking at. Ruled a touchdown for Mims. Mims 152 yards and 2 touchdowns. Told you last year he was excellent in their New Mexico Bowl. Had 165 yards rushing. Had 3 total touchdowns on that day. Think about what this team is set to accomplish here in the next 8.5 minutes. A team that was 1-4.
After review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. Touchdown.
But Greg, a team that was 1-4 and now is 8.5 minutes away from having win number 10. There has never been a major college football team that has started a season with 1 win through 5 weeks and went on to win 10 games. From 1-4 to 10 wins?
It's amazing.
How do you do that?
It's ridiculous, especially knowing how quickly some guys will jump in the portal if things aren't going their way early on. Just an unbelievable testament of resilience and the culture that's been created.
Montano puts it through.
I mean, how many times have we seen guys after a 1-3 start through 4 games, hey, I'm hopping in the portal. Everyone just hunkered down, and as you could see, massive opportunity in front of the Fresno State Bulldogs.
Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl, presented by Stiefel on ABC, is brought to you by your Southern California Toyota dealers.
Some stars on the Walk of Fame with football connections. And then there's that guy. Jimmy Kimmel's got a football connection. He's got the eponymous bowl name, LA Bowl.
How long until you get your star?
Please stop it.
I bet Riggle has one.
Rob Riggle was here in the booth earlier.
He was. He's the star. He's the star of Holy Moly.
He is the singular star of Holy Moly.
Correct. Him and Steph Curry. The chef.
You're brutal. Just brutal. Victor takes it across. Bowl Challenge Cup standings brought to you by Progressive.
Take a quick peek. As you can see, the Sun Belt off to a nice start yesterday. How about that Bahamas Bowl game? My goodness. The UAB just hanging on. As you can see also, still a ton of games left for several different programs. Bad performance from Florida today. And the Las Vegas Bowl is
Oregon State
just barely got edged 30-3. Of course, I say that tongue-in-cheek, Joe. 27 points, a pretty big beatdown.
It's amazing what happens in the course of a season, isn't it?
Yeah.
Think of how certain teams were viewed in week 1 and week 2 and week 3, and we're sitting there with Florida having beaten Utah with us. Like what you thought was a signature win in week 1 and then come back against Kentucky in week 2, and now how the season ends up going. And there's Cam Ward. And Ward is going to be ripped down off the edge by Cam Lockridge, who was the defensive MVP of the conference championship game.
Lockridge, of course, famously saying on the corner cat right here, just runs right by the running back Payne. Famously said, though, after the Mountain West Championship, saying that a lot of people wrote us off, but we didn't write back, and that certainly sums up the mentality for the Fresno State Bulldogs down the stretch.
6 sacks by Fresno State today. Second and 22 as Payne takes it ahead. Reminder that 7:30 right here on ABC we'll have the New Mexico Bowl, SMU and BYU. 9:15 on ESPN, the Frisco Bowl presented by ServPro as North Texas and Boise State.
So SMU BYU is going to be very interesting. We both know that those teams, when they're at 100%, can fill up the scoreboard.
Third and 13, it's thrown behind into the outside of Leighton Smithson. You do the whole Bowl Mania thing?
Oh, absolutely.
You filled out that?
Absolutely. I love Bowl Mania because I love, March Madness brackets, and that's what we have here in college football. I'm awful at Bowl Mania, I might add. I think last year I finished in the 48th percentile.
I mean, it's very especially
it is tricky. It is tricky.
With opt-outs and transfer portal and this and that.
That is accurate. I'm sure a lot of people didn't have North Carolina Central knocking off Deion Sanders and Jackson State today. I think that probably crushed a lot of people's Bowl Mania brackets.
Look at Haberer. He finally punts it. And allows the coverage team to just be hanging out downfield, waiting for the punt to arrive. Some history set to be made by Fresno State. Could this be the last time we say Jake Haener out there in a Bulldogs uniform? Look at my man Greg here. Monday Night Football on ESPN. Got Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. That's an Elton Packers colors there. Against the Rams at Lambeau. 8 Eastern on ESPN and ABC. Monday Night Countdown will get you started at 6 p.m. Speaking of Aaron Rodgers, of course, Jeff Tedford, the connection.
Absolutely, and I remember around when Aaron Rodgers was coming up, and I was, in high school. You see where he holds the ball, up near the ear. I mean, really, really high, and that was the calling card of Jeff Tedford's coaching. He was a quarterback whisperer, quarterback guru, continues to be. But just so cool to see how many great players he's coached, and obviously add Jake Haener to the list.
Mims goes ahead for a couple yards. So you think of Coach Tedford. This is his second stint as Fresno coach, but he's been an offensive coordinator, and a quarterback's coach, Oregon, and the second stint at Fresno. But, Kyle Bowler, David Carr, Trent Dilfer, now a head coach.
At UAB, correct.
At UAB, Joey Harrington. I mean, look at this list.
I mean, it's a long list, man. I mean, a lot of great college quarterbacks that he developed, and it's no surprise to see him continuing to be able to mold and shape his quarterback now, Jake Haener.
Mims off the left side. Mims cannot be stopped today. Jordan Mims just keeps adding to it as Fresno keeps rolling in this second half. He goes for 48 yards. He's over 200 on the day, Greg.
And just another example of just really patient running from Mims. I mean, kind of allows things to uncover. Look at the left side. Takes a second. Holds up, gone. Just amazing to see his vision and to see how he can sense the disappearance and then the acceleration that he puts on display as he finds the hole. Just another incredible run and another incredible performance. About as efficient as it gets.
It's a career high for Mims. They've had 8 plays over 20 yards. Sherrod, nothing much there. Under 5 minutes to go here. And Fresno heading to history. Team that really mirrored what their quarterback delivered. As Jake Haener, they thought he was lost for the season. They dealt with injuries. They were 1-4. He comes back, statistically was tremendous, was a leader on the field, came in with 8 straight wins. It's about to be 9, and they're about to be the first team in major college football to go from 1-4 to 10 wins under that head coach, Jeff Tedford. Sherrod on the carry, and we remind you that you can check out the ESPN app. It'll be the Capital One post game. That is immediately following the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl.
I think when you look at everything that this Fresno team has accomplished, of course, it's not over yet, right? But ultimately, about to win their 10th game, so many Fresno fans will look back on 2018 as the greatest team in Fresno football history. Won 12 games, best ever. But under the circumstances, with injury and adversity, it'd be hard to pick any team for Fresno over what we've seen from this group in the 2022 season.
Zane Pope with the reception on 3rd down to move the chains, keep that clock heading down, ticking down towards history to be a 10-win team.
I mean, at some point, 14 different starters, both offensively and defensively for Fresno State, missed time, including their starting quarterback, who the initial prognosis was not good when he went down against USC. 10 to 12 weeks, they told him, and he was back in 39 days. It just goes to show you what this season has meant to everybody.
Haener able to read it and then get down before Stone got to him.
Well, Greg, we've talked about it. Jake Haener is all about accountability, and despite a bright future in the NFL, he said there was no question about whether or not he would play in this bowl game. And he referred to that injury back in September when he thought his season was over, and how hard he fought to get back onto the football field, rejecting that 10 to 12 week recovery timeline, getting a second opinion. And that hunger and dedication to this team is why he refused to sit out of this game and prepare for the NFL draft. He said not playing today was never an option because he had to fight and claw his way back onto the football field. And he said, I'll never pass up an opportunity to compete. He has those intangibles that NFL teams are going to love.
And Molly, he said, who's the best guy out there, right? And they said, you got to talk to Dr. Anderson, who works with the Packers. He's the guy that also did Patrick Mahomes' turf toe surgery. He said, what do I need to do? They gave him this hyper-aggressive plan. Here's what you need to do. 39 days later, he comes back.
It's insane. I mean, I remember I tweeted it. We're sitting there. We were in Baton Rouge. We had just watched Mississippi State play against LSU. And I remember I had just a gut-wrenching feeling seeing it and seeing him being parted off. Looking at the injury, that looks like a broken leg. I was thinking tib-fib. I didn't know what. I was just very, very concerned. As I said earlier, he's genuinely been one of my favorite players the last couple of years. So see him back and return, and what he's done since is remarkable.
You just mentioned doing a Mississippi State game, and it gives so many of us pause this week with the passing of Mike Leach, and so many attached to this Washington State program who felt the pain of loss and are grieving, and our thoughts are with everybody in the Leach family and friends and the impact he made. And I know, Greg, it's interesting. and you've shared this story. Everybody this week says, okay, you know, his personality, he's quirky, he's this. We enjoyed our time with him so much with Mike Leach, who passed away Monday at just 61 years old. But you committed to Mike Leach.
I did. You
were a commit to Mike Leach before you then went on to Alabama. But he was the first coach that you said, okay, I want to be with you.
Yeah, and I will always be indebted to Mike Leach. I mean, I was a backup in high school when he offered me. But I didn't even believe in myself at that point. And when he extended the offer, I started to believe maybe I can do it. He had a tremendous impact on my life, and I will always be incredibly grateful for the time that I had with him as both a recruit and a guy that's had the chance to covering him the last couple years.
And what an ovation for Jake Haener. The Red Wave standing up and celebrating their quarterback. The gritty and determined sixth-year senior who worked his way back from what could have been, if not should have been, a season-ending injury.
First charge timeout of the half.
And he refused to accept that. He returned. He led them to a conference championship, and now 35 seconds away from a bowl win.
The College Football Playoff Semifinals, Saturday, December 31st on ESPN.
CFP National Championship Trophy presented by Dr. Pepper. It is right here in the corner of the end zone at the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl. But on January 9th, it'll be here at SoFi to be handed out to one of the 4 teams you just saw. Of course, we got a lot of football between now and then. Great time of the year. Just sit back and enjoy it. And then we will all be back here at this stadium to get you set for that spectacle. This is 4th down to close things out. Shallow cross gets it complete as he goes to Eric Brooks. Defense will trot out on there with 27 seconds left. Jake Haener will finish the day 24 of 36. Went for 283 yards, 2 touchdowns. Just managed the day so well. Came out red hot. Led them to that opening drive score. Mims took over running the ball. What a moment between coach and quarterback. We told you earlier, Jeff Tedford told us yesterday, he said, I really love him. So I'm going to miss him so much. Known him since he was 9 years old. 9 years old. Haener and family reached out to Coach Tedford. Tried to get some private coaching. Gave him goals, gave him advice. And now it all culminates here with a conference championship and a bowl win. Greg, the Capital One player of the game is number 7. Jordan Mims, 202 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I don't know how you could appropriately give it to anybody else. I mean, Haener was terrific. There was some great play on defense as well. I mean, anytime you hold a good offense to 6 points, you're doing something right on that side of the ball. But Mims was electric, really, from start to finish.
Coach Tedford has a target on his back. Boy, I hope somebody warns Molly.
I know. I'm all for Coach getting got, but I don't want Molly to get got.
Molly, get away. Go ahead, Molly, take it over nice and dry.
Wow, Coach and I just got a really nice Gatorade bath. That's got to feel pretty good, Coach. After starting the season 1-4, you finished with 10 wins. What are you most proud of from this historic comeback?
Well, I'm most proud of these kids and the coaching staff. You know, it was hard in the beginning, but a lot of perseverance, a lot of belief, overcame a lot of things. And so to turn around and win 10 wins, pretty special group.
You said that this final game with Jake Haener would be bittersweet. What has he meant to you? What has he meant to this program?
Everything. I love him as a person. I love being around him every single day. He's just got so much energy. I have so much respect for him. Him and I have a special relationship. I'm going to miss him a lot. I'll always be in his life, and he'll always be in my life.
Another special player for you today, Jordan Mims. What does a running back like that allow your offense to do?
Yeah, we got the run game going a little bit. You know, the offensive line did a nice job, and that was great. You know, so he's another one. He's another senior who really showcased his ability today. But I'm just so proud of the preparation these guys have had over the last couple of weeks, winning the championship game, and now winning this game against a really good football team. I couldn't be prouder of these guys. I really couldn't.
You said a big part of this turnaround was belief. How much belief did you see out there on the field today, and why is the future bright for Fresno State football?
Well, the belief has been there all year long, and we've got a great group of young men. We have a great environment and culture in our building. They work really hard. They're dedicated. They're committed to what we do. And it's going to keep going. We're going to miss a couple guys, but we also have a lot of really good guys behind them.
All right. Thank you, Coach. Congrats on the win.
Thank you. I'm sorry about getting you wet.
It's okay. It's all good. Thank you.
Such a nice Jomital. I mean, listen, you come to the Kimmel Bowl and you have to dodge mascot camel vomit, so Gatorade is no big deal. And there is the man who Coach Tedford was speaking of, his determined quarterback, Jake Haener, who led this team magnificently through the stretch of this season. Jordan Mims is the Capital One player of the game. 202 yards rushing. Back to Molly.
Thank you so much, Joe. Jake, your final game in this uniform. We talked about this. You said it would be emotional. What does it feel like to walk off this field a bowl champion?
We set history today, and there's never been a team that's gone on to win 10 games with 1-4 start. And just every guy in that locker room, day in and day out, has been resilient, has been positive, and I just couldn't thank my teammates, my coaching staff enough to be able to wear this uniform and be a part of the Valley.
Your coach said this historic comeback this season was because of belief. Where did that belief come from?
I think it starts in the summer, and it starts with the guys that are running the program, with Coach Tedford, Coach Ward, Coach Moore. Those guys set a foundation for us day in and day out, and a standard that we need to uphold, and we need to set our mind to and our body to. And those guys come to work every day, like I said, and they're resilient in that locker room. And when you're resilient, you're positive around each other, I think great things can happen.
Another senior in your locker room, Jordan Mims, with a career day today.
Yeah, what do you run for?
He had over 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. What are your thoughts on that?
That makes it a lot easier for me when I'm back there and the guys running the rock like that, and they start bringing pressure and start making it tough on us in the second half. So we kind of went back at halftime and tried to make some adjustments and kind of get to the quick tempo and catch them off guard with some of that stuff. And Jordan did a great job creasing the ball and making plays in space.
When talking to Coach Jeff Tedford about you, he says, I love him. We're always going to be in each other's lives. What has he meant to you in your career and also your life?
He's just been a great foundation and almost like a second father to me, just being able to guide me and put me in the right direction and just help me make tough decisions. And, I could not imagine doing this without him. He's been amazing role model for me, and I'm going to miss him because this has been one heck of a journey, and on to the next chapter.
What do you want to be remembered for in your time at Fresno State?
I just want to be someone that was a positive role model for individuals and young kids, and someone that was a great leader and tough, and just did everything I could to get a win for the Dogs on Saturdays.
All right, congrats on a great career, Jake.
Thank you.
Joe.
It's an excellent career, and was he ever aware of the history that was made, becoming the first team in FBS college football to start the season 1-4 and then get to 10 wins in the same season. Jimmy Kimmel Bowl in the books. Fresno State wins it 29-6. From our entire crew, yeah, those crazy guys, Greg and Molly and everybody down the truck, thanks for watching. Let's send you back to the studio to Kevin, Booger, and Coach Mullen.
Tess, well done by you. Thank you so much. We've got more bowl season coming your way. The last of our triple header here on ABC. Tanner Mordecai and SMU in the Alphabet Bowl, getting ready to face BYU. That's coming your way. The New Mexico Albuquerque Bowl, just about 32 minutes away from kick.
Something tells me there will be a few points scored in that one.
No doubt.